Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of HSP TV. I am your host, Barbara, the Soul Igniter, and today I am joined by the wonderful Carla-Jayne, the Practical Magic Coach. I almost said practical magic witch, but we will get to that point in a minute because our topic today is Witch Please. How to own your power and how to redefine your path. I had to look at my notes because I wanted to say it perfectly, but I am so much looking forward to our talk today, Carla-Jayne, and I'm very, very grateful that you're here.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here and have lots of interesting conversation with you.
Yes, right? Because for you it's visible with your beautiful shirt with the stars and the sun moon emblem on it. But we had a pre-talk, of course, and that's why we're starting with witch, please, right? Because we are both witches, and I haven't said it out loud and definitely not on camera, so this is a first, right? But I am no longer hiding it. I am weird and I'm strange and I'm a witch and I'm proud of it. So you told me a similar story.
Yeah, this is something that I have recently I've kind of come out of the broom closet again. So many years ago, if we go back to teenage Carla, I was very into the mystical and all sorts of moon stuff, and I loved tarot and I loved crystals, and I was always down at the local witchy shop, and it was just something that felt right for me after spending multiple years of going through different kinds of religions and trying them out and finding that they were too um there was too many rules. I'm a little bit of a
Mm.
rebel, so I
Oh
was
yeah, me
like,
too. You're in good company.
I just felt that the witchcraft path, specifically kind of loosely along pagan terms as
Yes.
opposed to Wiccan terms, because Wiccan is a religion, and it is something that now I am I cherry pick from certain aspects
Mhm.
of it, and then the rest of it is kind of just see what feels good to me, what intuitively I want to do. And I was very into the witchy thing for a very long time
Me too.
until around 2009 when my father passed away, and I was like, I have all this magic and this potential to be able to help and to be able to heal, and I couldn't do anything for my dad, and so I gave it up. I gave everything away,
Mhm.
and I actually still have, because Facebook was around at that point. I actually still have the original post of me saying, "I've got a load of witchy books, crystals, crystal ball, my tarot sets. I'm giving them away. Who wants them?" And I look back at that post now, and I'm like, "No, what are you doing?" Because it wasn't until 10 years later
Mhm.
I picked it back up again.
Yeah.
And then I really started to incorporate it into my business as well as my life,
Mhm.
um, over the last couple of years. So I kind of tentatively did it and then hid in closed groups where, like, I wasn't out and out. And it wasn't until, as I say, it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I just went, "Oh, sod it. I'm a witch. This is my life."
Yeah.
And yeah, this is I think part of it is getting to your 40s and going, "I don't care anymore."
Well, yeah, yeah, exactly. I think it's getting to who you really are,
Mhm.
because I recognize a lot of the things that you mention. I had all the DVD boxes of Charmed, for
Yes.
instance. I saw also the Bewitched movie and all the other witchy movies out there. I still
Mhm.
really am into all these series with this topic and all the movies that come out with this topic. I've always loved it very much. And then I started working with essential oils and with crystals and with oracle decks and with tarot. And it made me feel really great. Pendling also when I want to make decisions. And then I met someone who was part of a coven. and they invited me into their coven, and I went through the whole ritual and through the initiation process. And then on the second meeting, they kicked me out because I wasn't a good fit. They were looking for people who would, think, oh, you are God and you have all the answers, and that's not me. And
Yeah.
the subservience that they apparently expected from me is not who I am. And also, I was starting to feel a bit like they were just going through the motions of the ritual instead of really the thing behind it. And I agree with you. Am a big fan of pagan and being close to nature. And that's, if I had to say, I'm more of a nature witch. And certain things of the Wicca are things that appeal to me. And it's mostly just trial and error and seeing what works and what doesn't work until you get to your flavor
Oh,
of witchcraft.
100%, 100%. And that's really rubbish that you had that experience with people, but it also put you on that pathway. And I completely understand. That is the one thing that really, really gets my goat about people who are like, no, you must do this. You have to follow this pathway and no other way.
Yeah.
I identify very much with chaos magic. So a lot of what I do is like I generally tend to fuck around and find out. So I will see what works
Yes.
and see if it feels good enough for me. I base a lot of my stuff on intention.
Yeah.
And I think that is the main key of just having it through intention and being being to the point where you're not like overcomplicating it, because we're so
No.
good at like, oh, we must do this rule and this rule and no, just see what happens.
Yes.
Just see
Yeah.
what happens.
And that's what we share because we are both a sixth line. You're a 6'2", I'm a 6'3", but the sixth line is a lot of trial and error, and the
Yeah.
three line even more so. So that's where it comes from. We try things out and we experiment and we keep the things that work for us and we reject the things that don't work for us. And in that sense, we are a rebel spirit and a rebel mind, and we do things differently and we do it our way. And when people try to force their way, then they meet with resistance,
Yes.
and they usually do not handle that very well.
No, they really don't. I have I think it's channel 8, which is rebellion, and I also have the left angle cross of incarnation cross of revolution. So I'm very like, nope, I'm not going to follow your rules. I'm going to do it my way.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I don't have those, but I have lots of leadership ones.
Mm,
And that means that and I don't want to follow you because I am a leader myself.
yes, fully. And that's part of what I teach with my clients on every single level. I'm like, you don't have to listen to me. Like I can give you some guidelines, but if it doesn't work for you, try
Mhm.
something different.
Yeah.
If it feels right, then keep going with it. If it
Yes.
doesn't feel right, then again, let's see what else you can come up with.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be so rigid, because witchcraft isn't rigid. There is not really a whole set of rules.
No.
Like that is the Wicca path. The
Yeah.
rules here are just do what feels good.
Exactly, and that's what I do with clients in my business on a higher level. I
Mm,
don't teach them my methods of running a business or starting a business or getting to your ideal client or even discovering who you are and healing yourself. There
yeah,
are many, many, many different paths, and I help you find yours.
yeah,
And that means that I can open you up to a variety of things that you can try, and I can discuss a variety of things with you to help you make your choice. But then the end, the choice is yours, and the experiences are yours as they should be.
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. I do like that.
Yeah. So how old were you then when you, well, let's start with when you discovered that you were just not like everybody else.
Oh, crikey! I was young. I know. I know. My mum just found me hilarious, first of all.
Mm.
I was always a little bit with the dramatic flair. I trained as a performer
So you
back in
were
my
with
back in my
the
20s.
dressing up and maybe the witchy outfits and
Yep. All of that kind of things. I was always making potions in the garden and doing all of that sort of things. And I do remember one moment where my sister would mercilessly tease me about this thing that I did when I was a child. I grabbed a load of pine cones that just they'd fallen off the tree, and I was like, these are magic babies. These are the babies. I'm going to look after them. And I was very, very much like, I was so like, these are magical babies. I'm going to look after them. They are mine. And I'm going to care for them. And my mum was like, they're just pine cones, Carla-Jayne. And I was like, no, they are amazing. I think I must have been about 6.
I love it. And was your sister older or younger?
She's older. Yeah,
Older,
I'm the
yeah.
baby of the family. So there was very much she thought it was hilarious, but she would again tease me about it.
Yeah.
But my mum just was like rolled her eyes and continued doing what she was doing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of it's no surprise to me that I follow the path of witchcraft, because my dad was a Romany, so he was a traveler. He went on the Romany path, and he also worked in the circus
Oh yeah. Yeah.
for many
Yeah.
years before he met my mum. And he always had this kind of energy about him.
Mm.
And my mum was a reluctant medium, so she could commune with spirits, but she never wanted to stay in that
Mhm.
arena. So we would go to the spiritualist church quite often, but it was never something that she was like, I don't want this for you,
Mhm.
because I want you to be in the land of the living, not the land of the dead. And so she was very adamant about that. I think it's
Mhm.
because she needed training, and she used to get kind of barraged with spirit messages, and
Mhm.
it was a bit much for her. Uh, and then her best friend was a high priestess.
Ah.
So it all kind of it
Yeah.
all kind of continued on from there. And then it was I know you mentioned the films earlier. um I was very, very connected to the craft and practical magic and all of those things that came out in the 90s, which gave
Mhm.
me that connection to restart that
Yeah.
magical journey,
Yeah.
when I was young, when I was a teenager.
I love that you're sharing that because that's it sparked a couple of memories of my own that I had forgotten they were even there. So I always had magic kits because I wanted to learn how to do magic and the magic tricks. So that was one part of it. But there was one part I think 11 or something, and I wanted to join the circus. And I was adamant about wanting to join the circus. And my
Yeah.
mother said, well, if that's truly what you want, then look it up. And my dad was, what are you doing? We don't want her to go to the circus, right? And she said, well, trust me. And he said, okay. So she said, go and do research. So
Yeah.
I did research. There's a circus school in Rotterdam that I could go to. And I looked up how to qualify for it. And then I discovered that you had to leave your family. And you had to leave
Yep.
your home, and you
Mhm.
had to leave everybody that you knew. And then, okay, I don't want to go anymore. And my mother, she told me later, I knew that that would happen because you're so young, and then it's very demanding, and when you don't have anybody else in that world, it's alone because your parents cannot come with you. And once you found that out, then your love for the circus sort of magically disappeared.
Yeah, that's that's fair. Your mum was a very clever lady.
Yeah, she really is. Yeah, so I recognize the interest in things that cannot be explained, things that cannot be seen, all the cartoons with magic, all the series, the films, the shows with magic. I
Yep.
loved every single bit of it. I've always loved it.
Oh, yeah, fully. I identified very much with Mad Madam Mim from Sword in the Stone, less than Merlin
Mhm.
from there because obviously he was a guy, and so I wasn't. I loved her and how naughty she was, and all of that. So it's yeah, we really do get connected in such a way um to the things from our past,
Mhm.
and it's wonderful to kind of reminisce and go back on that.
Yes, but what also became very clear to me when you were talking is that again the influence of outside circumstances. And so I'm the oldest child, so
Mm,
that already makes a huge difference because there was nobody to make fun of me or nobody to ridicule me. Everything happened with me for the first time, and my parents were very, oh my God, this is happening with her and that is happening with her. So very different than, oh, we've already been there through that with the older one, and now this, so just
yep,
let her go, or whatever. So a more looseness, I think, I also saw with my brother. That is one thing, but also you describing your parents' heritage and that they took you to that place where you can already learn about it.
yeah,
This was something in my family nobody spoke about, and nobody even acknowledged. My mother didn't even acknowledge being a highly sensitive person. So we went into normal religion, but thank God for me, only until I was 12. And then that sort of stopped. I'm very happy about that. But then there was no introduction. And I think it was in the 90s that they came into contact with Reiki, and that was already who. But my mother's brother and his wife were doing it, and he was always working in banking. So to see as very serious, and that
yeah,
he then would do things like that, and it was like, oh well, maybe we need to know more about it. So then we slowly moved into also doing Reiki, and that's where it sort of started and was allowed back in life. But while I was growing up, there was no room to talk about things like this, or yeah, very different.
yeah. There's so much. I think my parents had gotten to the point because they both had previous marriages, and
Mhm.
so my dad, being the Italian stallion that he was, had 8 children before his marriage to my mum. So
Wow.
I was the baby of all of them.
Yeah.
So they really just was like, okay, whatever, Carla-Jayne, you go on this path and do whatever you want to do. And I think my dad was very he was a lapsed Catholic.
Hmm.
So he was very interested in the Romany path and
Yeah.
like being at one with nature, and he never kind of imparted any kind of Catholic ideals on us, which
Hmm.
I am very thankful for.
Yeah.
My mum was very much like, try it out, see what you feel connected to.
Hmm.
Before she took us to the spiritualist church, we did go to church. My godfather was very Christian, and he would invite me to church. I sang in the choir, and
Yeah.
I did enjoy it. I felt there was a lot of love there, but there's also, as we know, there's also a lot of preachiness and zealots and hate, and that's not, to me, what religion is. It's that opportunity to bring love in whatever form and whatever creation that you want to bring it to.
Yes.
And I feel that there is that fine line that we do tread. And I was so very lucky that I got to experience all of that. I had the kind of roundness, holistic upbringing of
Mm.
my dad being the lapsed Catholic, then the Romany, my mum saying, do what you need to do, my godfather, her best friend being a witch and very much a high priestess in her local coven, and doing all of those things, and just
Yeah.
having that experience
Yeah.
really helped me to just choose my own path and not feel
Yes.
like I was doing something wrong, which was really helpful for me.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And that's why I think we all get, well, we need to step into our role when we are ready. And apparently, for me, it was necessary to do it the hard way and the long way around, and with the lots of lessons and the stuff, because that now gives me enough baggage to be able to do what I do. But the way your journey went and how your childhood went has prepared you for being a practical magic coach, which needed a very different path than a soul igniter path, or my
Yeah.
path was. And that's again how when you reach this point, and I can imagine if you're listening, if you're watching, that you think, well, I'm not there. I'm not liking all of these experiences. Trust me, I know how that
Hmm.
feels. You probably also know how that
Yep.
feels. Just hang in there. It will
Hmm.
get better eventually. But
Yep.
everything shapes you to step into, you can call it your destiny or your mission, your purpose, your soul's mission. There are so many different words people choose, but it is in the end what you came here to do. We all come here on this planet, we are born into a mission. And we need to fulfill that mission. And for some, that mission is very short. We won't get into it, but these are people who die at a young age, then their mission is already complete. That's what they chose. But others have a very different type of mission. And when you're still in the process, especially as a sixth line, there are lots of lessons to be learned, and a third line with a sixth line is even worse. So there's lots of experiences, lots of knowledge, lots of trial, lots of error, lots of things that need to happen to
Hmm.
get you ready to be able to do the thing that you're meant to be doing here.
Yes, fully. I've noticed multiple patterns in my life that kind of come along, and it's around boundaries, around my light.
Hmm.
And this is so very interesting to me, because I used to be very, very much a people pleaser,
Hmm.
because of looking after my dad while he was sick, and then looking after my mum. I basically spent from age 8 to uh, to when my mum passed, after my dad passed. So being a carer,
Hmm.
being that person who looked after my parents. And I still love them, to that they gave me this
Hmm.
opportunity, because they brought me into this world. So, and that was one of the things that I used to say to my mum whenever she was feeling particularly down on herself, or I had to do something
Yeah.
for her that she was like, I hate this, because she was very independent. And when the last year that she was really sick, she used to get so very frustrated about it, and I'd be like, you taught me how to use a spoon, calm down, it will be okay. Like, it's fine. I'm not gonna like kick off at you about this. I'm not going to resent you about this, because you taught me how to be a human.
Hmm.
So I'm going to help you to continue to be human,
Hmm.
whilst you are still here.
Yeah.
And
Beautiful.
this part of this was like helping me to help others. And so I have noticed with the patterns that I have had people who have wanted to covet my light and covet my help. Like, nobody else can have it. It's like theirs and theirs only. Like, you're not allowed to play with anybody else in the playground except me. Like,
Hmm.
no, I am very open, very honest. I want to help everyone. I'm an adopter of introverts. That is my favorite thing to do. Ask my husband that, because he's a massive introvert.
Nice.
So this is what I have noticed over the past few years, and it kind of hasn't gone very smoothly, and it's only been since I have started to notice my intuition more
Hmm.
and more, to really tap into that, to utilize some of the rituals and spells that I have used in order to like let go of certain triggers and
Mhm.
certain points where I'm like, is this me or is this somebody else? So there's been so much that I have worked through over the past few years, and it's really really helped me to see. And I know right now I'm stepping into my sixth line, very very much so,
Mhm.
of the leader. And I also know that the two is still there, that's like, hold it back, like, preserve your energy. So that is like that balance, that fine line that I am walking right now,
Mhm.
of learning where my energy is at,
Mhm.
and then where am I in the pattern as
Yeah.
well.
Yes. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's been the last couple of years, I think that was my process as well, where you need to find. I found that it sometimes feels like you're two people. You're your old self with your old reactions, but you're already a newer version of yourself that can see, oh, I would have responded this way in the past, or you feel
Yep.
yourself going, and then oh, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait. I recognize this. No. We've done this in the past. No. We don't want to do this again. Oh, you sneaky bastard. You almost had me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yep. The amount of times where I've had those triggers and see it in others as well, and I'm like, do you want a solution or do you want some guidance? And so that's where I've gone in, or do you want me to back off? Because there
Yeah.
has been moments with my husband as well that I've seen his patterns, and I've seen like
Yes.
close friends
Mhm.
patterns that you're just like, okay, like, I've been through this. I can help you. I know it's not exactly the same situation, but I can help you get through this slightly easier than you would do on your own. Do you want help?
And that is also connected to boundaries, right? Because
Mm.
in our hearts, we want to help people. And
Yeah.
if we see people struggling and we know how to fix it, our intention is usually to fix it or to want to help.
Yes.
And most of us also do it. But that's not always received the way we intend it to. And then people start to resent us, or they're angry, or
Yes.
they don't want it, and you know, all of these types of patterns. I'm sure that you, when you're listening to this, you recognize it. So if so, you know, let something share your story in the comments. But
Mm.
it's learning that there are boundaries, that no matter how good of your intent, how good your intentions are, people need to ask for your help. They need to ask for your guidance. They need to show you that they want your guidance. And if you do it without their permission, without their wanting, no matter how well intended, you're going to get resistance, and you're going to get all of these things that will hurt you and leave you feeling like, why? And
Yeah.
so, one of the lessons I indeed also have learned is to ask, do you want a listening ear? Do you want a shoulder to cry on? Or do you want to brainstorm solutions?
Yes. That's fully the same thing. I've had to learn that lesson because it's so easy. It's so easy to just be like, let me help you. Like, let
Yeah.
me give you all of this unsolicited advice. And then they're like, I didn't ask for
Off.
that. I just needed you to listen. Yep. So,
Yes, and then again, there are different responses. Some people are very vocal, and they will immediately really say "fuck off," and
mhm,
you know, I don't want to be friends with you anymore.
yep.
I'm never speaking to you again. Type of reactions. I've had those, but there are also the quiet ones that just don't say anything, and you see them almost retreating in their shell,
Yes.
and then they ghost you.
Yep. Yep. I've had that, but I also guilty of doing that myself, and I feel like that's where I kind of go into my hermit mode
Yeah.
of like, if somebody does something to me or says something to me that I didn't ask for, I'm usually very very good at explaining and saying, I would like this. Can you please can you please do this, or help me with this, or listen to this? And when I get multiple amounts of unsolicited information that I am not willing to receive because I'm quite possibly in my triggered feelings,
Mhm.
then I will just like quietly go, and then it's like I feel like this is my Aquarius rising. I will start to detach, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, nope, I'm not I'm not ready to do that. But again, with my Pisces moon, I feel like I have to then go back and say, this is why I have detached from you.
Mhm.
So there is I kind of ghost, but I ghost and come back around and say, I had
Mhm.
to take a break from you, and this
Yeah.
is why.
Yeah. I
So yeah.
recognize that. I've done things like that too. And I think now I've reached a point where I think, well, if somebody lashes out, and then I first investigate myself. Did I deserve this? Did I do something? Did I say something that maybe could have perceived in a different light? And I think, well, no, my intentions were pure. My intentions were good. So then it means there's something going on with you. And then I don't judge them anymore, and I don't try to fix them. I also don't try to call them out on their shit. I just leave them in their shit, and trust that if they want guidance or help, they'll come back, and
Mhm.
if not, then not. Then another important lesson to learn is that not everybody is meant to be in your life for the rest of your life. Some people are only meant to be there for a very short while, and some people are meant to be there for 20 years and then disappear out of your lives, while others do that after 5 or 10 years. So I'm more in the moment and letting people just be and do and act as they are. And I love the people who allow me to do the same and to think, well, this is not your normal self, so obviously something's going on with you.
Yeah.
I'm here if you need a friend, and otherwise we'll catch up somewhere in the future.
Yeah.
And then, oh, okay, and then I don't have to fight it, and then that triggers also this self-reflection where you think, oh yeah, okay, if you hadn't been aware of your response,
Mhm.
to think, oh, okay, and then you can do something because it starts with awareness. And if people can just be in their awareness and know, it has nothing to do with me, I don't have to defend myself, I don't have to attack you back or whatever, then they can just let you work through what you need to work through. And then things can be possible in the future, or sometimes people just disappear.
Yeah, fully. And this is what I say to myself. This is what I say to my clients. This is what I say to my audience. It's like consistently, you are in control of you. You are in control of your thoughts, even though you might think that you're not, but you are.
Mm.
Your thoughts, your actions, and your reactions. Like
Yes.
you can choose. Like you have that power, and that is the ultimate inner magic, is to be able to choose.
Yes,
Like
I agree.
however we do it,
Yeah.
however we do it. But then obviously we get things like conditioning that we've had from a young age, and
Yeah.
experiences,
Yeah.
and like
Beliefs.
wired beliefs. Yep, all of those things that kind of come on top of it. And that's where,
Yeah.
that's where you and I feel both help to kind of peel all that bullshit away, to be able to go, okay, this is your choice. This is how you get
Yes.
to have your magical life, like without all of the shit that is covering it.
Yes. Well, yeah, exactly. And that is part of your journey. And for some people, there's not so many layers to peel back, and they might already be at a certain point. For other people, it's a very long journey and everything in between. But I think in the end, it's about finding your journey and finding your path, following your path, trusting in yourself. We spoke about intuition before, and our society for a long time has frowned upon intuition because it cannot be measured scientifically.
Yes, it's
And
not logical.
Yeah, there are no
Yeah.
reasons for it or explanations that I can fact check. So,
Mhm.
right? And that has made a lot of us turn away from our intuition. But
Yes.
most of us have even experienced a complete disconnect from self, where
Yeah.
you're no longer in touch with your body, hence how many burnout people I see and speak to. And you don't trust yourself when it comes to making decisions or following your path, even if it goes against every single bit of advice that you've ever had, or every example out of your direct environment, or everything that your family wants you to be.
Mhm.
It's about finding your inner magic, your inner spark, the thing that makes you unique and beautiful, and getting to know that intimately, and then shining that outward as you.
Yes. Yes, fully. It's this is where, like, being able to connect with our intuition is so important.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't have to be, like, I'm getting psychic flashes of things. It can be as simple as trusting yourself enough to make a choice to what to have for dinner,
Hmm.
and then you start to build on it. And then once you can build on it, that's where you can look at, like, how does my intuition speak to me? how
Yes.
does how does it give me those signs that I need to hear? And then
Hmm.
you can start to make more confident decisions, and then you can start to realize what is fear talking, what is, like, past experience talking, and what is, like, my intuition trying to, where is my intuition trying to guide me?
Yeah.
And it's so crucial. It's such a crucial life skill to have, even though we've been taught facts, logic, data, all of this. You can have both. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be, the, one or the other. Like, one of my
No,
female clients is like that, and she's so different now.
but what people don't realize are that facts are what other people call facts, but it might be true in the moment that somebody concluded it, but it doesn't have to be true even 2 seconds later for
Mhm.
somebody else. So there is not one truth, and there are no facts that you can use as truth because, they proved for a fact that the earth was flat, and then later they proved for a fact that the earth was round. And there are so many of these examples of things that were facts before that are now being disproved. It used to be a fact that you couldn't get off this planet, and now we're organizing trips to the moon, and we're
Yep.
going to Mars. So, facts are meant to change and to evolve as we evolve. So, putting so much faith in it and using it as, well, this is the truth, so you are wrong type of
Mm.
thing is not working. And intuition, people don't like it when they prefer facts because it cannot be proven, and there's also no way to disprove it. So that makes people uncomfortable because that means that you need to have faith.
Mhm.
Faith in something that you cannot see, that you cannot touch, that you cannot smell, but something that is there. And yeah, that's for a lot of people a learning process because they've unlearned it over the centuries.
Yes, we really have. And there still is a very fine line between magic and science as
Yeah.
well,
I
because,
think they go hand in hand. I
oh,
think you need both
100%.
of them.
100%. I am very much science first, but there's also that unknown. Like, there's still so much about, like, quantum mechanics that we don't know.
Yeah.
And it
And
is
about the
still,
human brain.
yes, the human brain. Like, there is so much. And it's so wonderful to be able to go, we live in this day and age where we can learn about so much. We
Hmm.
can tap into previously thought of, parts of our brain that thought weren't able to connect to.
Yeah.
There's scientific discoveries happening every day.
Yes.
And we should, I know it's science, but we should also be calling it magic, because that's what it is. It is magic. It is
Yeah.
such wonder and curiosity, and having that knowledge of all of that put together. It's brilliant. It
I
really
agree.
is.
Yeah, I agree. When I first heard of some science experience where they had protons fired at a wall and they behaved in a certain way, and then when
Yes.
nobody was watching, they behaved in a completely different way, you're like, really?
Yeah.
Right? I thought
Honestly,
that was magic,
crazy.
right? That when there's an eye involved, then it does this, and when there are no eyes involved, then whoa, it does something completely different.
Yeah, fully. And that's like part of what I do is I remind myself that energy is forever. It doesn't die. It doesn't desist. It is there for forever, and
Mm.
it just takes on a new form. And so that's where you don't quite know, because with shooting the atoms at the wall, that energy at the wall that looks one way and then you look away and it does something different, is like, that is what energy does. It just is. It is
Yes.
all encompassing, and you can't kind of quantify it, because it
No,
is something that just behaves completely unpredictably.
you can't
And
control it.
yeah, and it's uncontrolled and it's chaos. And
Yes.
then we're back to the
Full
chaos
circle.
magic, and I love it.
I love it. Oh, if you've been loving this talk as much as I've been loving having it, and you're a fan of the show, or and hopefully you've already become a subscriber to the channel, then I would love to hear what is your number one takeaway of the talk that I've been having right now with Carla-Jayne. But I can also imagine that you think, oh, I need to talk to her. Where can I find her? So where can people find you, Carla-Jayne?
You can find me on Facebook. So I'm down as Carla-Jayne Hollingworth. And you can also find me on my website, which is newleafyourlife.com. So there is, I'm in the processes of changing the branding for it, but right now we're still sticking with New Leaf Your Life. So it is very witchy stuff. There's loads of things on there that you can go into and find, and I will also share my link tree as well with you, which is Linktree New Leaf Your Life.
Perfect. I will make sure that all the links that Carla-Jayne just mentioned are included in the show notes. So when you're seeing this video, they're probably below the video, but could also be above or to the sides, depending on where you're catching this. But it will be somewhere around the video for your convenience so that you can check Carla-Jayne out. And please also reach out if you feel like you want to talk to her, or if you want to talk to me, of course. I also always offer a free clarity call. The link to book that one will also be in the description. And for today, I really want to thank you, Carla-Jayne, for this amazing talk. I've been loving it. And it's for all the other people out there, I think, that are feeling different from everybody else, but I have trouble trusting in their abilities and who they truly are. It's
Yeah.
been magical.
I've loved it. Thank you so much for having me on today. It literally has been magical.
Right? It was such a pleasure. Thank you for being here, and you out there, thank you for watching. Thank you for being there. Thank you for liking the video, sharing it with your audience if you think this was valuable. And I look forward to inspiring you with another wonderful guest next week on another episode of HSP TV. For today, have an amazing rest of your day and talk soon.